Assalamu alaikum friends. The Shanghai Cooperation Organization Summit has just concluded at Samarkand in Uzbekistan, and it brought together leaders from all the member countries, and particularly Vladimir Putin from Russia, Xi Jinping from China. For the first time in the last 3 years, he came out of China because of COVID, and Pakistan's Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif, as well as Narendra Modi of India. Narendra Modi was a little critical of what the Russian troops are doing in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin himself spoke of a new world order in which he's basically positioning himself vis-a-vis the United States together with China. The Chinese leader, Xi Jinping, however, sounded almost differently. He says the world is in a very uncomfortable situation right now, and that we don't need any new world order. Rather, there is a need to focus more on collaborative mechanisms that can promote peace and businesses. That's why we thought we should also get an expert opinion, and for that we have General Asif Yasin Malik Saab with us, the former Defense Secretary as well. So if you could explain, you must have been following the SCO Summit. What do you make of it? What do you make of how China contrasts, or its policies contrast with those of Russia as well as India, which has drawn so close to the United States in the last few years?
I think before we go to the present session of the SCO, my perspective on SCO is that it is a new paradigm in global relations, although not new physically, but I think conceptually it has always been new. And that I say is that the Chinese concept is prosperity through peace. This is I think the overriding concept of SCO and the Chinese mindset, if I may say so. The later history of last maybe 50, 100 years, the Chinese have not gone kinetic after Second World War. And instead of spreading their influence through kinetic means, attacking countries, cajoling them, forcing them, they have followed a people-centric approach in which they go to the people of that country and show them the prosperity that peace can bring, and that relationship with China, that prosperity that can bring. And I'll give you the example of Africa, where they went early, maybe 5, 10 years ago, and they started building football stadiums, hospitals and all that without any sort of contracts or deals with those governments. So now, on the contrary, if we see the western side, it is full of military, or if I may say so, kinetic operations or designs, whether it is the Indo-Pacific design, or it is NATO or CETO, CENTO, whatever. So therefore, I think that one must understand before differentiating between what Mr. Xi has said and what everybody is saying. Now, another important thing is, as you brought out, he has come out of China after 3 years. And I think these 3 years have been very, very happening 3 years in spite of COVID. There was a reorientation in Indo-Pacific by the Americans. The issue of Taiwan was heating up. South China has stabilized. North Korea has itself declared itself a nuclear state. Russia and Ukraine are in conflict. The whole Europe is in a quandary to support or not to support, and they are being pushed into a support by United States. And there's a common saying that NATO will fight in Ukraine till the last Ukrainian. So therefore, I think it is ultimately the Ukrainian people who are suffering, and it's not going in the right direction.
But this is precisely what the Chinese president was alluding to, that we should basically try to seek political solutions rather than confrontation, because the world is already full of conflicts.
Exactly, exactly. You see, he is sort of again reiterating their own concept of prosperity through peace rather than through conflict. And he is right in saying so that particularly the Ukraine conflict will not bring prosperity for the people of Ukraine, or for that matter Western Russia, because it has become a war zone. And the price is being paid by the people and not by Washington or Moscow per se. So that is to be understood, and indirectly I think President Xi has brought this out, that resolve the issues through dialogue, through negotiations and through understanding. And Mr. Putin also, I think, had an interesting perspective on things, but not really 180 degrees opposite. It was mostly overall in the same direction. And if we know there was a Istanbul or a Turkey-led dialogue also, which has faltered, and lately, I think day before yesterday, the Russians have issued a statement on RT or somewhere, or I think the Turkish television said that the Ukrainians did not stay by the promises that they made, and the Russians then pulled back. So there was a peace effort also by Mr. Putin and the Ukrainians.
So how do you think Pakistan positioning itself, it seems to be like sandwiched between various global powers, China, Russia and the United States on the other hand?
I think the important thing between Pak-China relations, which I as a student have been following since as back as late 60s, the best part of the China-Pakistan relations, or China's relations with any other country, it is not either or relationship. The Chinese have never, at least to best of my knowledge, asked Pakistan to have this type or that type of relations with any other country in the world. They only believe in the bilateralism with them. So as long as Pakistan's relations with China are good and we are not working against the interest of China, they are happy we may have friendship with anybody in the world. So that is to be understood. Now coming over to the present situation and this summit, Pakistan is involved with China on multilateral dimensions. First of all, it is Pak-China, one-on-one. Then we come to CPEC. So there is another dimension. And then we have SCO. So therefore, I think we are one of the few countries in the world, as far as China is concerned, who is operating on at least 3 frequencies. And we will be very unlucky that if we do not benefit out of this such a vast spectrum of relationship with China. And I am afraid we have not been able to make the best of this vast spectrum available to us, probably unique in the world. So I would say that we should seriously sit down, reevaluate our way forward as far as all the 3, SCO, CPEC and Pak-China relationship, and chart out a course and follow that course, irrespective of political dispensation in Pakistan.
Yeah, it looks like the Russians are also trying now to find a negotiated way out of this conflict, just in deference to friends like Turkey, China, because it has been now 7 months into this conflict, and as General Asif Yasin said, the Ukrainians appear like very determined to take back the entire territory that has gone under the Russian control, but whether that happens at all, this we shall have to wait and see. However, Turkey is trying to mediate between the 2 countries, and whether the Russian leadership will allow this, will just back off after investing so much. And this investment drew out of a particular thought, and that was that we will not allow NATO to breathe down our necks sitting next to the Russian territory in Ukraine. So let's see how things pan out in the coming weeks and months. Thank you very much.